Hey, what's up guys? John here, one of America's most successful investors. Someone producing returns far greater than Warren Buffett. Stanley Druckenmiller of Duquesne Capital Management. He, alongside George Soros in 1992, nearly bankrupted the Bank of England by shorting the pound, making over $1 billion in a single night. Now, what he says happens next in America is something we all need to understand and prepare for. Look at this sign. See this sign right here? They're everywhere in this neighborhood. And it goes alongside the bet of Stanley Druckenmiller and what he's saying is going to happen next in this country. And it makes so much sense. Now, he shorted bonds, betting 20% of his entire portfolio that this trade works out. Now, if he shorts bonds, what he's essentially saying is interest rates will be going up in a pretty big way in America. Now, if interest rates are going up, you have to think about what that means. He says this is going to happen alongside of a 1970s style era of inflation, giving no credibility to inflation that happened in the last couple of years, saying that the next 5-10 years, things are going to get absolutely crazy with pricing. There's another sign right there. So what this actually looks like is if we have a 1970s style era of inflation with higher interest rates, people are going to start demanding price controls. And I think these price controls would be price controls at grocery stores, food, energy, things like that. Now, we've already had this conversation and it's already been put out there publicly that we are likely going to see some type of price controls.
It will include, we're told, proposing a federal ban on corporate price gouging for food and groceries.
Or at least that conversation is going to continue to grow if the costs continue to rise and consumers are tapped out. And you start to ask yourself, what is this going to mean for America? Right? Why is he so sure that this bet's going to work out? Well, you start to kind of look at this. America needs to sell 10 trillion in treasuries every. Look how beautiful that house is. $100,000, about 100 grand, right? 10 trillion in treasuries every single year for the next 10 years. You have Brazil, Russia, China, India, South Africa, all de-dollarizing, BRICS nations growing. And so if we can't sell our debt, we're going to have to continue to increase interest rates to be able to attract investors that will buy it. And so you have to ask yourself, the last 2 years, everyone was marrying the house, dating the rate, saying, look, I'm going to refinance when rates come down. Rates right now on a 30-year fixed, if you have excellent credit, and not many people do, if you have excellent credit, you're looking at 6.8%. People thought when they cut interest rates 50 basis points, that we're going to see rates continue to sink. The complete opposite happened. The Fed, they don't control mortgage interest rates. The market does. And so when you start to look at what's happening, you can see that we're going to see a wave of problems with consumers. We're going to see delinquencies around auto loans skyrocket as insurance rates continue to get more and more expensive around auto insurance. Because why? Well, the reason for it is because the cost to repair these cars, the car parts are going to be going up. Insurance fraud, all that's going to be going up, and it's going to get pushed on to consumers. Same thing with home insurance, same thing with, it's just going to happen and impact everyone across the board. And so when you start to look at the chain of events unfolding, like what Stanley Druckenmiller is suggesting, it's pretty clear that America as a whole is going to be walking into a lot of problems, and we are very likely going to see a consolidation of wealth in this country to likes which we've never seen. Now, he's betting, between 15 and 20% of his portfolio on this. He said that his mentor, essentially George Soros, would be disappointed for not betting much more because he's so sure about this bet, he should be going all in on it. Now, I think this bet is, pretty spot on. I think we're going to see countries continue to de-dollarize the next couple of years. I think we're going to see inflation continue to get more and more aggressive. And I think we're going to see home insurance and just overall costs for consumers continuing to go up. And so if all of this is happening at the same exact time, you have to ask yourself, what is this going to mean for banks holding all of these loans? Right now, it's been reported that bank losses are 7 times greater, unrealized bank losses are 7 times greater than before the 2007-2008 crash, the great financial crisis. So you start to look at this. all these obligations that consumers have with banks and lending institutions, I think it'd be in very, very, very big trouble. And we're going to see a major shift. I think we're just going to see capital flooding to safe haven assets, gold, silver, land, inexpensive homes. You know, they're going to be looking for ways in which they can protect themselves, because the last thing you're going to want to do, anyone's going to want to do, is sit on dollars for 5-10 years thinking that they're going to be able to save their way to financial freedom, because it's not going to happen. You look at how much money they're printing. They're printing $1 trillion every 100 days. Every 100 days. They're sending hundreds of millions of dollars everywhere. It seems like almost every week, right? So the amount of money that's being put into the system, the amount of change that consumers are going through right now inside the job market, inside of every aspect of the economy is radically shifting, and consumers can't keep up with it. The only ones that are going to do it are the ones that have great stable investments that they can hold on to during the hard times, that have cash in the bank that they can continue to invest in by distress, and that are positioning themselves to be able to pivot and move during the hard times. Because without doubt, we're walking into hard times. But first, we partnered with Gundry MD to share this information with you. Inside your pantry right now is one of the healthiest foods on the planet. Spoiler alert, it's olive oil. Olive oil is a natural way to help you achieve a more youthful appearance. It's a fantastic tool for your insides as well, according to Dr. Stephen Gundry, a famous cardiothoracic surgeon. But what kind of olive oil is best for your health? You can tell by the amount of olive oil brands you see at the grocery store. And you can bet they're not all made with the consumer in mind. When Dr. Gundry came to this realization, he was appalled. So how can you tell between an olive oil that can be a health booster and which one isn't up to par? In an effort to answer that question, Dr. Gundry has decided to take a stand and release his personal research and findings. People who have taken his advice have shared their results with him, saying the olive oil they bought after learning his simple rules have changed their lives. Make sure you go to getolive1.com/JW or click the link in the description box below this video. And I think what we're going to see here, and I've talked about this the last couple of videos, is Section 8 voucher program exploding in popularity as we see millions of people likely losing their homes over this. You think about what happened just with property taxes last couple of years. All these properties, throughout these expensive cities in America, throughout all the suburbs, are saying, oh yeah, these homes are $500,000, $600,000, right? Yet real wages have barely moved. Yet they say these values of these homes are 2x what they were 5 years ago. It's a joke. Property taxes have essentially doubled, and the wealth is just getting stripped from these homeowners. So they're essentially paying property taxes on values that are not really there in most cases, and paying insane cost to heat and turn power to these properties. What is this going to mean? It's going to mean a lot of these people, as their jobs start to get lost, they're going to be forced to walk away. They're going to be forced to walk away from their homes. And these major investors are going to be stepping forward, buying it. Because what is something really worth? What is an asset worth? An asset is worth what the highest ready, willing, and able buyer is ready to pay for it. That's what it's worth. Nothing less, nothing more. The seller does not determine the price, the buyer does. And when you have a situation like what we're walking into right now, where the buyers are going to be few and far between, I think over the next year or two, we're going to start seeing a lot more fear in this market, a lot more fear in this economy. The ones that are, in a position to go out there and acquire during that period are going to capitalize. And the real money is made when the masses are afraid. And I think what Stanley Druckenmiller said about how interest rates are going to be going up, we're walking into a 1970s style era of inflation, I think is spot on. Like, I don't see how interest rates are going to go down if we're walking into exactly what we're walking into. I don't see how that's possible. I think what we're going to see here are interest rates on mortgages very likely going up, even as the Fed potentially cuts rates 1 or 2 or 3 more times. I still think interest rates are going to continue to go up. Most people thought that they were going to go the opposite way, and they're not far from 7%. If you have an average credit score, call it a 699, which last year was the average in America, probably looking in the mid 7s right now for 30-year fixed. Who right now wants to buy a home, a $400,000 home, 7% interest rate, with taxes and insurance and energy bills where they are right now, to pay essentially twice the cost of what it would be to rent an apartment in that same neighborhood? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And that's what I think is going to happen. What I think is going to happen is, regardless of who wins, there's another one right there, see the blue? Regardless of who wins, this change is going to be coming, and it's very clear. I mean, even he said that if he wins, that he is going to put a cap on credit card interest rates at 10%. Now, many people say, John, that is a great thing. Hear me out. A 10% interest rate. Inflation, many would argue, is high, much higher than what a lot of people would hope is true, right? If the default rate right now on subprime borrowers with bad credit scores in many locations throughout the country is 15%, 16%. If you were a credit card company, would you lend money if, let's just say, prime and subprime together? It's about 9%, a little over 9% as of last quarter. The new data hasn't come out yet, but would you lend money for free as a business and cover all your costs? If you can only charge 10% interest and over 9% of people are not paying you back, and you have to operate a business with employees and staff, and you have to pay for all that, would you run that business? No. The answer is you probably would not. You would likely change the requirements on whom you're going to lend money to, and you're going to be very, very, very careful with every single loan and every credit line that you make, because you're not going to want to get stuck. And so the lower income and the lower middle class, they're going to continue to get squeezed. They're going to continue to have it harder and harder and harder. Now, I wish it wasn't the case, but facts are always better than everything else, right? Because facts will stay true. This is what's going to happen. We're going to see the middle class getting cut, their liquidity getting completely cut, and we're going to see the wealthy deploying cash to hedge themselves from severe inflation. And this is my prediction in the next year or two, maybe 3, is we're just going to see the rich getting a hell of a lot richer. And I have this very big prediction that all of these homes, that's beautiful home, all these homes, all these $100,000 houses, all these, these cities that are offering these affordable properties are going to start getting acquired by the tens of thousands by investors. Because this is like the last bit of affordable homes and affordable inventory in America, right? And a lot of these people that live here are really, really nice people, really hardworking people. They clean their yards, they maintain the street. There's no dirt, no debris, no trash in the street. Just a really nice neighborhood. They're gonna run out here and scoop up these properties. Commercial real estate, office buildings, they're gonna be sold for pennies on the dollar as interest rates likely go up, insurance goes up, vacancies continue to get greater and greater and greater, and businesses cut expenses, and people start working from home more and more and more because business owners aren't gonna have the choice. They're gonna need to outsource talent more and more. It's just gonna continue to put more pressure on commercial real estate. So think about where the money's gonna flow. Affordable homes, land, data centers, a really, really discounted A+ commercial property. This is where the money's gonna flow. And so those that are, look at the frontage on this home. Look how nice that is. That is so nice. Probably 100, maybe 110,000. Where are you getting that anywhere else in America? Nowhere. You're just not doing it. So I think Stanley Druckenmiller's right. I think we are going to see interest rates go up. I mean, he's worth almost $7 billion, betting 15 to 20% of his entire holdings on this one trade, that interest rates are going up. Now, how would this not happen? If you look at all of the sanctions and all of the, basically how we weaponized the dollar the last couple of years, how are we going to expect countries to come out to buy up all of our debt and subsidize the choices that this country is making over the last couple of years and over the next few years? I'm betting interest rates are going up, and I'm betting a lot of change is going to be coming here in America. Please hit the like button when you do. YouTube will share the content, educate more people about what's going on. And for more information on today's video sponsor, you can click the link in the description just below this video. Catch you next video.